Welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm Meg.
And I'm Kerri. We love creating beautiful, functional spaces and living healthy, vibrant lives. So join us as we chat about simple, practical ways to take care of your body, mind, and your home. Whether it's fitness tips, home decor ideas, recipe, or navigating those big life moments, we're here to share what works for us and what doesn't, with some encouragement along the way.
Let's redesign this life together, one step, one room, and one habit at a time.
Welcome back to Redesigning Health and Home. This is episode 13, and I'm your host, Kerri. Meg will be joining after this interview. And today we have a really inspiring guest joining us. She's not only been on a powerful fitness journey of her own, but she's one of the co-owners of a CrossFit gym that's making a real difference in people's lives, from kids to folks in their 70s and beyond. So I'd like to welcome to the podcast my dear friend, Susan. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Good. I'm good, Kerri. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm super excited to have you here. So the backstory of Susan and I, and anybody who knows us from way back in the day, is probably going to laugh that we're on here together, Sue, but we both grew up in Brennan, Manitoba, Canada. Sue still lives there. And now I've moved down to the States. But a long time ago in junior high, we were on the social committee together. And what I remember about the social committee is that we spent a lot of time avoiding classes by always having to go and call about the DJ for the dances.
Oh my gosh, you have such a good memory.
Oh, that's what I remember. And I also remember that you were an amazing athlete in basketball and volleyball, and I'm probably missing some sports. Am I missing any sports? What other things were you in?
Badminton, soccer, those kinds of things. Soccer kind of fell off the radar after grade 9, but
Right.
volleyball and basketball and badminton for sure.
Yeah, so all the things you were doing.
All the things.
Well, I'm thrilled to share your story today. So let's start at the beginning. I wanted to ask you, what first led you to walk through the doors of a CrossFit gym, and when did that sort of happen for you?
So that happened in 2018. So a year that I turned 50. I'll say we turned 50.
Yeah.
And that particular year, I'm going to kind of back up a little bit just with regards to December 2017. I don't like to do New Year's resolutions necessarily, but I like to do sort of a reflection of the past year and then a recalibration of what is to come for the upcoming year. And with that year, birthday's in January. So I thought, I'm going to do a 50th birthday list of 50 things that I'm going to do in my 50th year. And part of that came to the year we turned 40. I lost a very dear friend. And I thought, my gosh, like 10 years has passed since she's been gone. I looked at what I had done in my life, accomplished in my life, or just time passing by, and realized that I wanted to do 50 things in my 50th year, almost in honor of that, of being able to get through those 50. So I made CrossFit one of those things. And that's kind of what led me there. I did, interestingly enough, I pulled out my list because I've kept it in a journal, pulled out my list, and it really gave me all the feels because I left lots of blanks on the list. I achieved some of the things on the list. I achieved most of the things on the list, but I left lots of blank spaces for the what ifs, the things that might come up throughout the year. And in there, that list is filled with lots of joy. It's also filled with sadness. You and I lost a very dear friend in our 50th year. And, I was just reflecting back on that list and realized of the things that served me and the things that did not. And so it was interesting to kind of reflect back on it 8 years later.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's really beautiful, because reflecting back on both of those friends whose lives were sadly cut very short. And I think when you and I talked before, you said something that's really stuck with me when we spoke prior to setting up this podcast together. You mentioned something about noticing that in the hourglass of life, that our sand, there's more at the bottom than there is at the top, right? And those grains of sand are running down, which might sound a little morbid, but I think it's an awesome perspective. It really is,
Yeah.
because absolutely we get one go around of this life. And so how are we going to best fill that time and, get as much joy in it as we can, and much meaning and as much purpose. So I love that. You also mentioned during our chat that what started as a physical challenge quickly turned into something more. So can you talk a little bit about how your CrossFit journey has impacted your mental well-being?
So initially, of course, or at least in my brain, whenever I'm taking part of in a physical activity, it doesn't matter really what it is, whether it's yoga, pickleball, CrossFit, boot camp, running group, whatever it might be, there's usually the physical piece of it, or the physical element of it, is what sort of drives you there. I want to become a better runner. I want to be more mobile through yoga, or stronger through CrossFit, whatever the case may be. And that is indeed what happened with CrossFit, is that my physical fitness improved in all ways, in strength, endurance, flexibility, mobility, all of those things. But I would say probably 2 years or 18 months into the CrossFit journey, I realized how healthy my brain felt like it was becoming. And with CrossFit, there's a level of resiliency that happens with CrossFit. And I was in a very stressful job. I was dealing with ill parents, a teenage daughter who was on her way to adulthood, sort of that 18, 19 years old. So you're really in that sandwich generation. You're thriving in your career. You're hopefully thriving as a parent and a spouse and a daughter and all of those things. And I realized how much CrossFit helped with my mental health, that I continue to go at 5:30 in the morning. So it is the foundation for how my day begins. And regardless of what I've got ahead of me that day, CrossFit just helps to settle that in. It doesn't make anything go away. It doesn't change maybe the outcome of that, but it certainly changes your perspective. Sometimes you get those good endorphins, from fitness and from being outdoors, or whatever that looks like. And CrossFit itself is doing the unknown with the unknowable. That is sort of one of the catchphrases with CrossFit. And when you walk in the gym in the morning, you have no idea what the workout's going to be. And with that, you need to be able to shift and pivot so that you can get what needs to be done. And that's really how life is. Sometimes we need to be able to shift and pivot and do what we need to do, good, bad, or indifferent. And CrossFit just really taught me that. But I realized how much it has helped my mental well-being in getting those good endorphins going, feeling good about what you've done. And then, like I said, it doesn't change what's going on in your life, but it just helps you have a little bit more perspective and maybe build a little bit more resilience.
Yeah, I love that. And Meg and I were having a conversation about non-negotiables. And, we were just talking about, how making your bed, is one simple thing that you can do early in the day. And it's just a routine and a habit. And how even if the rest of the day goes to heck, at least you've made your bed. And I can imagine by working out, at 5:30 in the morning, if nothing else goes right, you've done your exercise for the day and you've taken that time for yourself to really set your day up as well as you can at the beginning. I don't know if that's how you feel, but it sounds to me, I know for myself, if I get my walk in first thing in the morning, I'm like, okay, I've got that done. I don't have to, worry about it for the rest of the day. If I leave it and I'll be like, oh, I'll do it later. And then life happens and next thing you miss it. And then I just really notice the days that I don't have my walk for physical reasons. But like you said too, also the mental health reasons. It's just, I don't know what it is. The endorphins, I'm sure there's science behind it, but that physical piece is just so very important for sure.
It is, and the day just sets up differently, and there are days that I don't get an opportunity to work out. It doesn't happen very often, but it is a non-negotiable. And, And it's also an opportunity. I know there's times my husband, he just can't believe that I get up at 4:45 to go and do this. And part of that is a bit twofold. One, I actually, and it's something I remind myself all the time, is I get to do this. And, it's not, and it is a non-negotiable for me. It is something that I see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And when you were talking about the sands in the hourglass, the reference that came from is the fact that, the first 50 years of my life, were pretty kind to me. And so I want to make sure that the next 50, whatever that looks like, I will be kind to them. And so, I really, it isn't, it is a non-negotiable for me as well amongst a few other things, but I just feel that this is something that I really need in my life, and I love it. I love it.
That's amazing. You mentioned something on our prior call as well about this being the best hour of your day is when you go to CrossFit. And I just thought that was very telling. So many of us who are planners and organizers and caregivers, like our brains are always on. So can you tell me a little bit about the thought of this is the best hour of your day?
I truly believe that. I mean, there are many moments throughout my day, throughout my week, throughout my life that are wonderful, but this is a moment, the best hour of the day for me. It is an opportunity, like you said, as a caregiver and as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, as whatever we are in the world outside of the gym. I have 1 hour where I am Susan. I'm here as, we call each other athletes when we're in the gym. So we are the athlete for the hour. We are nothing else. We are not our career choice. We are not a mother. We are not a wife. We are ourselves, and we get to just push ourselves to whatever that looks like that day. And so we encourage people at our gym to make it the best hour of your day, and whatever that needs to be. And the thing I love about CrossFit is it's very individual. The workouts are all the same, but they're the same every day for the whole group, but everything is scalable. And from the coach's perspective, it's our job to make sure that we check in with every single person in the gym that day. Classes are small for a reason, so that we can say, how are you? And it's not how are you? It's beautiful outside today. It's not that, how are you? It's deeper than that. It's an opportunity for you to say, I didn't sleep very well last night, or I've been caring for a family member that's ill and I'm exhausted, or I didn't eat very good yesterday and I'm not sure how this workout's going to go, or whatever that might look like, or I just walked in the door today. That's the best I can do. And we're there to help walk you through what that looks like. And so we want it to be the best hour of the day for everyone that walks through our door.
Wow. That's such a great perspective. I think so many people feel like I have to go to the gym or, I have to get up and work out or go for that run. To hear you say it's something I get to do is such a perspective shift. My mom suffered with multiple sclerosis for many years in her life, as you know. And as her mobility went down, you're absolutely right. It is a gift to be able to use your body in these ways. And so I do really appreciate that perspective from you. You mentioned the word recalibration. I kind of love that. That's a really insightful point, that it's not, about New Year's resolutions. It's about recalibrating, especially as we get older and realize that, as you put it, the hourglass sand is running the other way. So what does that mindset shift mean for you when you talk about recalibration?
For me, and I do this at the top of the year as a rule, but I also give myself space throughout the year to change that, to recalibrate my recalibration. And to me, it's about, just very personally, it is to set goals for myself that maybe I want to achieve, and that could be anything from this year, one of my recalibration goals, I love to read. So I wanted to add more reading into my space, less social media, more reading. And I set a goal of 10 pages a day. And so that recalibration happened, and I read more books. I've read more books at this point than I have probably in the last 2 years. And I've gone beyond my 10 pages. But with that, and I'll just kind of add on to the book reading portion, is that I picked up a book and I could not get into it. And I remember Brene Brown saying that it's okay to let go of things that no longer serve you, and that it's not giving up, that it is okay. And so my recalibration is also giving up things that no longer serve me. So things
Right.
that I feel that are, maybe a goal for the year, but maybe midway through the year that changes and I'm like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. Or I don't want to read that book anymore. It's not serving me. So I use that time for recalibration as a way of maybe setting goals, having some perspective on life, being a better friend, being a better daughter, being a better mom, all of those things. But it's an opportunity to reframe some things and also let go of things that really don't serve us. And I feel that I don't want to pigeonhole women, but I think a lot of women say yes when they maybe don't want to say yes. And I'm guilty of that. And I know that having this little bit of recalibration allows me permission to be able to say, actually, that doesn't serve me. And that's not to sound selfish, but that I want to do things that fill my cup.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like, to me, what I'm hearing from you is it sounds like the recalibration is taking the time to check in with yourself. Is
Yes,
this serving me? Is this what I want to do? Is this what I need right now? Do I need more rest? Do I need to push myself? Do I need a new goal or something new exciting? So I love the framework that you've put that in of a recalibration. I'm going to steal that if you don't mind. I think I'm going to
of
use that for
course.
myself.
Yeah, go for
So
it.
I would love to hear a little bit about how CrossFit itself actually works. I've never stepped into a CrossFit gym. I've seen pictures and I've seen your awesome posts that you put up on your social media. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about, what CrossFit looks like and what the gym looks like. If I were to walk in there, what would I see? I'd love to hear about that.
Sure. So CrossFit is actually a brand. The gym that I am a part owner in is a CrossFit branded affiliate. But CrossFit itself is really functional fitness. So functional fitness is being able to do things in the gym that equate into day-to-day living. So sort of the analogy that CrossFit uses is that if you can do a burpee, you will forever live independently. And what that means is that it doesn't mean you have to jump down and jump back up. It means you can crawl down, crawl back up. And you think about if someone falls, do they have the strength or the capacity to be able to crawl back up and get back to standing or to seated into a safe position? And so CrossFit does that. So when we are working on a deadlift, for example, that's picking up a bag of dog food. A farmer's carry is carrying our groceries from the car to the house, and or picking up our grandchildren if we ever get some down the road.
I'm not in a big hurry.
Yeah, me neither, but yeah, or a kettlebell hold is putting that kettlebell up over your head. That is lifting a child or lifting a box up over your head. So that functional fitness element is to allow us to forever live independently for as long as we possibly can. So within CrossFit or functional fitness is strength. We work on a lot of strength. It's heavy lifting, and it's lifting odd objects sometimes. It can be lifting your typical barbell and weighted plates. It can be kettlebells, dumbbells. Sometimes it's a sandbag, which is off kilter in terms of the distribution of the weight, and then focusing in on the body mechanics of it. We also work on gymnastics, and that isn't gymnastics as we know it, but it's pull up, push up, squatting. Those things are considered gymnastics movements. And those same things, a squat is getting down in your garden, planting your flowers, or picking your vegetables, or picking something up off the ground and not falling over. So it's a functional fitness. I would say now that is what has attracted me to CrossFit because, or has kept me in it as I've aged, is CrossFit. When I first looked at it, probably when I was in my 30s, I thought, oh, for heaven's sakes, I am not doing that. Looks dangerous. It didn't look like something that I wanted to partake in.
Mhm.
And then in my 50th year, of course, it was a year of saying yes and let's do this, that I thought I'm going to try it. And then I quickly realized that this is about functional fitness that will carry me for the length of my life. And so I think that's what I love about it. I do wish people would realize that. We
Mm.
do a lot of jumping as well, which is really important for bone growth and bone stability and things like that. But everything is scalable. So whether that's because of limitation or because of lack of maybe mobility or lack of strength, but you can always build on that. And we really focus on what we can do, not what we can't do.
Right, right. So
Mm.
when I've seen pictures of CrossFit gyms, it's not your typical gym, with a lineup of treadmills and ellipticals and weighted machines. It almost looks like a warehouse that's got some boxes in it and some
Yeah.
kettlebells lying around and that kind of thing. And so it looks very different. And so if I were to come in to your gym and you were to give me a tour and kind of explain, what we were going to do, what would you say to me?
Most CrossFit gyms are what we call brick and mortar. So
Mhm.
we are in an industrial area. It's a great big warehouse with a big garage door that we can throw up in the nicer weather, which we've been able to put it up this week in Canada. We've got some nice weather brewing.
Nice.
So it's been great. There's no air conditioning. So in the middle of the summer, when we have the beautiful hot Manitoba summers, that door is up and we are sweating it out. And in the winter, there's very little heat. So it's all about getting moving. And our winters, they're minus 40. So
Mhm.
we get moving. But when you walk in, it is very warehouse style. We do have bikes, salt bikes, they're called, or air bikes. They have a great big fan in the front and they're propelled. There are no gears on it. It's propelled by your body movement. And then we have rowing machines. And same thing, those move because of how you move that machine. And then the rest is all free weights, dumbbells, kettlebells. And then we have a rig, which is on one side of the wall, which has bars where you can do pull up, chin up, toes to bar muscle ups, things like that. And we have ropes that hang from the ceiling as well for rope climbing. So it is really much, it's like a warehouse garage space, and the music blares. So it's as loud as you possibly can get it to go. So that you can't hear each other breathing and cursing as you're working out and your shared suffering. But we remind ourselves that shared suffering is good for us.
Yes, you're bringing me all the way back to the rope climb. What was the Canada fitness test, and you got the
Yeah,
medals, and I could never do that darn rope climb. I could never get all
no,
the way to the top. That was a tough one. So,
it
yeah,
was.
you brought me back there. So,
Yeah,
okay, so I that sounds very intriguing. And so I sign up and I come in, and I've been there a few times. And so what's it going to look like? What's the workout look at? Like you mentioned that it's different every day. So how does it look when I come through the door?
it is. So, a brand new member coming in the door, we do what's called foundations. We do a 2 week session with them for 6 1-hour classes of walking them through the foundational movements that we need. And it's an opportunity to also speak to someone about their goals, about their challenges, what brought them in the door. I love, 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 love. This year, part of my recalibration has been curiosity. And
Mm.
so I love being curious with people and understanding what brings them in. But one of the things that I find interesting, and it's much like any fitness I've ever done, is it brings a group of people that under normal conditions may not actually come together. We have
Mhm.
all walks of life. We have people who are physicians. We have firefighters, police, admin staff. We have stay at home moms. We have students. We have a variety of people, and we're all doing the same thing. And we all do it together. And we do it together and we do the same thing. And it just varies by your own style. So with the workout, For example, if the classes are 1 hour long, they start with a group warm up. We have a whiteboard. So that whiteboard has the workout of the day or the WOD on it, and walks through the warm up. And then we do skill work. And that could be whatever that lift might be that day, or whatever the gymnastics movement may be that day. And we start building our strength and movement around what that workout of the day is. And that warm up takes about 10 to 15 minutes just to get things moving, get the blood flowing. And then the skill work is anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes as well. And it's an opportunity for us to gather all the equipment we need, get the skill down pat. The coach works one-on-one with each individual person to find a level that they are comfortable working at for that workout. And then the workout begins, and it's basically a 10-second count into the workout, and that workout begins. And I'll just give you an example of what a workout might be. If we did a 15-minute AMRAP, which is as many rounds as possible, of 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 squats. You're going to just keep cycling through those 3 movements all through that 15 minutes. And everybody's ability or level of movement is going to be different. If you don't have a pull-up, maybe today you're doing ring rows or you're doing pull-ups with a band, whatever that may be. But we're all still doing 5, whatever that pull-up is in our variation. And then the push-up. It could be from your knees. It could be on a box. It could be, we do what's called a banded push-up, where you tie it into the rig and you actually put it underneath your rib cage and you use the band to get yourself up and down, if that's the assistance you need. And then same with squat. If you have a full squat, you're going to put your hips are going to come right down between your ankles pretty much. And you're going to come to full standing, full extension, where you're back to full standing and then back to the ground. If you don't have the mobility to do that, it might be to a target. You might be squatting and reaching your bum back to a box or to a medicine ball, or it could be that you're using something to hold on to. You could be holding on to the rig to be able to get yourself up and down. But we're all doing the movement that works for us, and it's under the same time domain. So nobody feels like, oh, people are staring at me or watching me. And it's a hard thing to understand until you're in it. And then everybody, once the 15 minutes is up, everybody's recovering from that. So coach is guiding us through what that recovery looks like, which usually consists of continuing to move, but at a slower pace, walk around the gym, take some big breaths, allow that heart rate to come down. The coach does a quick check-in with each of the members to see how they're doing. He does a fist bump, so we all fist bump one another of a job well done. And then we put our equipment away. We try to add 5 to 10 minutes of mobility and stretching at the end as a group, so that everybody gets some stretching in. In particular, if you're doing deadlifts or something heavy, we need to stretch out our back and our hamstrings, and it just keeps everything loose and limber so that you don't stiffen up too much. And I mean, the old adage is, people always say, I'm going to be so stiff from doing this. And it's like, yep, you are. And that means that your body worked for you, and that it's building muscle and it's building strength and all of those things. And the big joke we always have at the end of class is when people say, I'm going to be so stiff. And it's like, the cure to stiffness is more CrossFit. So we'll see you tomorrow.
And so do people tend to go every day, or so many times a week? Do they go every day, or what happens?
That's correct. Yeah, most people come 5 days a week, and that could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as a rest day, and then Friday, Saturday. The one thing about CrossFit and functional fitness is you're not meant to give it everything you have for every single workout. There's going to be workouts that are extremely humbling, and I'm going to tell you, burpees and wall balls are my kryptonite. I don't enjoy either one of them. And I can tell you, if I didn't do CrossFit, they would not be in my workout regime. If I was going to the local gym, I wouldn't be doing burpees and wall balls, but I know that they're good for me. And so when they're in the workout, that's what I do. So I find that you do need rest days, and those rest days can include active recovery. So go for a walk that day, or do yoga or Pilates or something else you enjoy. If that's your pickleball day or whatever it might be. But it's our responsibility as a coach to also say, how many times have you been here this week and you're really stiff? We're going to pull everything back. I know you can deadlift 200 pounds, but we're not going to today. We're going to deadlift 100 instead. So we're going to pull that back. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But
Sure.
yeah, but overall, that's the other thing that I love about it is having that coach. It feels like personal training in a way, even though it is group fitness. We don't allow more than 9 people in a class.
Oh, wow.
So that allows for that individual one-on-one time
Right,
at our gym.
right.
So, yeah,
Well, that sounds amazing. When I come there this summer, can I come and see your gym?
of course you can. Yes, you can.
I would love that. I say I would love that now, but I don't know what wall balls are. That sounds kind of scary. Medicine ball, or you throw what's a
It
wall
is
ball?
a weighted ball, yeah. So it's anywhere from 10, 14, or 20 pounds, and you're throwing that up over your head at a target.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
And then
the
catching
arm.
it and then squatting and pushing it back up.
I didn't know about the squat part. Yeah. Well, maybe
Yes.
we can get Tina and
Yes.
Lori and Deb and
Tammy.
Shelly and everybody to come with us, and we can, make a day out of it. That would be
That would
really
be
fun.
fun. It would be fun. It would
So,
be.
what's the typical age of people that come and participate in CrossFit?
Well, anybody can do CrossFit. You can be as young as 6. You can be as young as you want. One of our coaches actually has 2 little guys. They're 5 and 3, and they come to the gym often. And after class, we let them kind of run around and do their thing. They're not doing CrossFit, of course, but the fact that they're there witnessing their dad be
Mm-hmm.
active and physical, and they cheer him on, and they'll cheer all of us on. They sit on the side and they're like, go daddy, go. And it's just so wonderful to see that he's an example of staying active and being fit, that hopefully his kids will do that too, and that they'll come to the gym one day. And you can do this until, as I always say, the day you die. You can do this as long as you want to, and everything is scalable, and everything, we will figure it out. And right now, I would say our average age is probably about mid 40s at our gym. The majority of people that come to the gym are that mid age versus really young, but we do have a mixture of young students from high school, from university and college, to young adults getting into their working career, and then young family, moms and dads with young families. I'm not the oldest in the gym, but I'm the third oldest. So right now we've got a 63-year-old, and he's one of the most fit in our gym. And same with our 61-year-old female, Denise. She is also one of the most fit women in our club. So it's amazing to see. And I think as we age in many things, we have a different perspective. We have competition. I'm competitive with myself. I'm not competitive with anybody else around me, where that wasn't the case when I was younger. You're always competitive with
Yeah.
your teammates or your opponents. Where in this, you're there to cheer and support everybody on. And it's a community. And it's a community that we need. And I think people need community. And life gets busy and all of those things. And if you've got that best hour of your day is spent with this community of people in that shared suffering to
Yes.
prepare us for our old lady bodies, that there's something so special about it.
Yeah, I love that you keep the classes really small, but it also sounds like a very diverse group of people. So it sounds like a very positive kind of community, and I love that. I did also realize that I left Tanny out. Tanny, I am coming to pick you up, and you are coming with us, and Leanne too. So we're
Yes.
all going to meet there. Maybe we can plan margaritas after or something as a treat.
Yes. Nachos and margaritas.
Right. So, Susan, I know not terribly long ago, you went from being a CrossFit participant only into being one of the co-owners of the current gym that you're at. So, how did that come to be?
So our CrossFit gym at the time was called Power Play CrossFit, and it was owned by a gentleman. His name is Gary, and I cherish him for supporting my journey in CrossFit. And The pandemic hit, and it was a very difficult time for gym owners, in particular for Gary, because when the mask mandates were on or you couldn't gather in groups, that's what CrossFit's about, is gathering in groups. So you couldn't necessarily just book a time one-on-one and go into the gym. So he got to a point where he just could not sustain this any longer. And so he had told us in November of 2021 that he was closing the doors at the end of the year. And a group of us just rallied around him and said, how can we help you so that this doesn't happen? He's like, I've already made my mind up. I'm closing. So a group of us decided, we can't close this. We can't let this go. So we threw money at it. 11 of us did that. So 11 of us who never intended on owning a gym, but we loved this community of people so much that we couldn't imagine our life without it. 11 of us purchased the gym in December of 2021. And so we have been gym owners for we're into our 4th year. And the group, again, is a group of people that under normal circumstance would not come together. We have businessmen, we have myself, I work in the healthcare field. We all do something else. None of us did this for a job. And to be honest, we just keep the lights on. We have enough members that allow us to keep the lights on, pay our lease payments to our landlord for the facility, and it gives us a little bit of money at the end of the year to maybe buy a new piece of equipment. And the fact that this group of people have kept this place going has been such an honor to see how a community has now come together to protect its community.
Right.
When I tell new members what our story is, they love the fact that we're not doing it for the money. None of us are making money doing this. We just keep the lights on. And with that, a few of us had to get our level 1 CrossFit trainer level so that you can teach and coach CrossFit. And that is required for us to hold the affiliate. And so it's just been a really interesting journey. And of course, we're kind of learning as we go, because who cleans the gym? Who buys new equipment? Who manages the schedule? Who does membership engagement? Who does marketing? We had to kind of go, oh, we got to do these things. So we had to figure that out. And I think we're doing pretty good at it.
And who refill the toilet paper, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we always draw straws for the bathroom cleaning, but
Of course. So how has it changed your experience then, as coming in and wanting it to be the best hour of your day? I can imagine you're a little bit on the other side now. So how has that changed the dynamic for you?
well, it's interesting, and I'm going to be super honest about it, because it was the best hour of my day, and it still continues to be for my workout. My workout still continues to be the best hour of my day. But with ownership and with 11 cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, we all come with different ideas. For example, one of the owners, he was like, here's my money. I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to help out, but I want to keep the gym open. So here you go. We knew that right off the bat. So we have no expectation for that person to participate in any part other than he continues to pay his membership and come to the gym. It did come with some challenges. There has been periods of time throughout this journey that I have found a little bit of resentment, but that resentment, I recalibrate it. I sit down and look at, okay, what am I really feeling resentful for? What is it that's really grinding my gears, whatever that may be? And usually it's pretty easy. It's an easy thing to fix. And when you have 11 people, I'm a doer. I'm also a little bit on the type A side, a little, that I'm not very good at asking for help. And myself and a couple of the other owners tend to take on a lion's share of the responsibilities of the gym and happily do that. But there are times it becomes overwhelming. And then after that overwhelming moment settles in, then resentment sometimes settles in. So that's an opportunity for me to kind of recalibrate that and think about, okay, Susan, you need to ask for help. And it's okay to ask for help. And when I ask for help, I've never had anybody say, no, can't do that.
Right.
So it's taught me a lot of things about that because I still want this place to be the best hour of my day. I'm spending way more than 1 hour a day there, but I am still wanting it to remain the best hour of my day because I still believe that. And I also want members to feel that. I want people to feel.
Sure, and for it to be the best hour of their day. I remember you and I talked about that a bit, and it's interesting because Meg, who's a fitness instructor as well, and she talked about before she goes in for her classes or her personal training, just taking that moment to kind of center herself and think, okay, like now it's my responsibility to make this the best workout for people that are attending my class or for my client. It sounds like you come from a very similar perspective as she does. And I think that's amazing that you come at it from that way. And it's such a gift to all of your members for you to think of it in that way. So I love that. So Susan, I really love this conversation with you today. And it makes me think to something Meg and I were talking about. We're all given this one life and X amount of grains of sand in the hourglass, and we never know how many those are going to be. And each of us tends to find our thing, right? And so for my husband, one of his things is he loves to go fishing, and it's very rarely about catching fish. It's about tromping around in new places, out in nature, and disconnecting or reconnecting with nature, perhaps. So that's his thing. And, you know, whatever it might be, cross-country skiing or paintball or whatever it might be, just having something that gets you that physical movement and those endorphins, but also that time to recalibrate, check in with yourself, and get some of the stimulus you need for mental health, right? I think that's super, super important. It's been such a joy talking with you today. Your story is amazing, and it's a reminder that fitness is not just how we move, but how we live, especially in this particular season of our life. Do you have any advice for someone listening who might be nervous to step into a CrossFit gym for the first time if it's something that interests them?
It's really just do it. If you're curious about it and you want to see what it's all about, just do it. And we have what's called a no sweat workout. So I typically meet new members that reach out that are interested in doing it. And I meet them at the gym. We have a little tour of it just so that they kind of get a feel for what it's about. It gives me an opportunity to meet someone and determine what their goals are. But it just always brings me back to, yes, I love CrossFit. I do. There's other things I love too. I love going for a walk and getting outdoors and, you know, in the wintertime, cross country skiing, started playing pickleball the last year and a half. And I just want to always be moving. And I always keep that mantra in the back of my mind of just, I get to do this and to focus on what I can. But it also lands with find that thing that you love and just do it. Just do it and do that. And, you know, aging is inevitable. Like we are going to age, but decline does not have to follow that. We do not have to decline. So I think our parents, you know, I look back at our parents when they were 57 years old, they weren't doing what we're doing. And I think we've learned, and plus there's so much research out there that we need to move our bodies. Our bodies were meant to move. And so you need to find what you love and do that. And if CrossFit's something you're curious about, then take a chance. Just go and see. It is about functional fitness. It's not about CrossFit or competition and being in the arena doing the big CrossFit Open competitions. It's about functional fitness and living your best life and being able to live independently for as long as you possibly can.
It makes me think of two things, the move it or lose it kind of philosophy.
Yes.
And my mother-in-law, who's in her 80s, has that philosophy, and she's always out there walking on the track and doing whatever she can to keep herself really mobile. I think one of the posts that I saw that you put up that really hit me was something about, oh, are you working out to get ready for bikini season? And your response was, no, I'm getting ready for my old lady body. And that really resonated with me because I've been painting my family room this last week, and man, when I get down on the floor, getting back up is kind of tough. And every time I go to get up, I think, Susan says if I can do a burpee, I can live independently my whole life. And so I'm like, okay, can I get myself up off the floor? Girl, this is getting harder. You need to work on some strength training. So I might have to check out the local CrossFit gym because I do love the functional fitness piece. I think that's really amazing. Well, Susan, thank you again so much for coming and hanging out with me today and talking about CrossFit and your journey. You've shared so much insight with us today.
Thanks, Kerri.
Kerri, thank you so much for interviewing Sue. I really enjoyed that conversation. I thought your interview questions were very thought-provoking, and Sue's answers, you can clearly hear her passion for, one, her fitness journey, for two, for CrossFit, and three, I think maybe mostly for wanting to provide that same of accomplishment and strength for others. That is a gift that maybe she could provide to her community. And one takeaway that really hit me that I just thought was so beautiful was when she said the first 50 years of her life have been kind to her and that she wants to be kind to the next 50. Wow, that is just so powerful. And then one other thing that really stuck out to me was that she wants everybody to understand that exercises can be scalable or modified or progressed. So sometimes when I'm at the gym, I'll hear somebody saying, oh, I'd love to try that class, but I don't think I'm at that fitness level yet. And I would truly want to encourage that person, even as Sue was stating, come on in. We will show you variations. We will show you options. I mean, Sue was saying everyone's doing kind of the same exercises, but just at their own level, at their own comfort, and at their own strength. So that is wonderful to know that I can take a class maybe with an elite athlete and also maybe someone on the other side of the spectrum, and we're all there moving our body. And how she was stating that she's living for this functional life. You know, those farmer carries, like you want to be able to carry your groceries. We work out, so life is just a little easier. And she hit the nail on all of those heads. And I think drove the point home that this is something that you can do for the rest of your life and enjoy doing it and scale it along the way. I think she has a wonderful passion for CrossFit and her gym and her community, and it's so evident. And I loved that she wants to share that with others, that it was amazing hearing that she just couldn't let that gym close due to COVID and restrictions. And I'm absolutely sure it was such an undertaking to take that on, and especially for the gentleman to let the gym go. I truly felt for that whole situation, and I'm just so tickled to hear that they pulled the resources and made that happen and continue to years later. Just so incredible. Thank you for interviewing, Sue. I could have listened to you all day. You both just had such a natural, obvious friendship, and it was my absolute pleasure to listen to it and give a little insight on how I perceived your conversation. And maybe my takeaways aren't exactly what everyone's takeaways are, because I think we could all pull a little bit of positivity or inspiration or some motivation in our own way from any little part of your conversation. So thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening to the Redesigning Health and Home podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to like, share, and follow along so you can catch us on all future episodes. You can find me, Meg, at Fit, Fed, Feeling Good on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Kerri, on my website at homestylewithkerri.com and on Instagram and Facebook at Homestyle with Kerri. That's Kerri. And you can find both of us at Redesigning Health and Home on Instagram and Facebook. So join us next time for more inspiration on creating a home and a lifestyle that truly supports your best self.